what do you mean by that when you say Southwest Minneapolis, in opposition to everything else? How is the CDD, will the CDD affect Southwest Minneapolis differently than everywhere else? And if so, how?
Well, I think that the first important way to answer that is to understand that historically, a significant amount of resources have been funneled into Southwest Minneapolis, right? Okay. And we have argued about this for years. We've talked about schools in North Minneapolis and in other parts of the district being under-resourced and not having the same level of robust programming that exists within Southwest Minneapolis. And because of the attractiveness of the quality of education within many Southwest Minneapolis schools, what we saw as a result of school choice were a lot of parents, or open enrollment, a lot of parents really working hard and fighting hard to get their kids into Southwest schools, Southwest Minneapolis schools, and for good reason, right? They want the best programs that are available to them. And because the district allowed this to happen for so long, it meant that there were economic deficits, human resource deficits in terms of, you know, what is happening with experienced teachers versus less experienced teachers going into some of the most challenging parts of the district. It's left an imbalance. And so right now, Minneapolis Public Schools is claiming that the CDD will help to correct the imbalance. But again, I think that it's actually going to tip the scales in the opposite direction, and it's going to impact those students of color who right now are able to access programs outside of their home school that have been effective learning environments for them. So I can give you some of the numbers and information that I have just to kind of quantify this.
Okay.
So as I talked about before, you know, we're lumping in students of color without really dissecting the demographics. So we're talking about African-American students, Latino students, Somali students, our Hmong and Asian students, and our Native students. The CDD will remove choices available to all communities, but in particular, those communities of color that I referenced. So the 57% of North Minneapolis elementary school students who attend a school other than their neighborhood school today will be assigned to a different school under the CDD.
Wow.
A third of the Minneapolis students who are K-8 students that attend a magnet school today, of which 62% are students of color, will be impacted under the CDD. Students in the South Central Corridor that are 79% students of color will lose neighborhood schools at Jefferson, Anderson, Sullivan, and Green. They'll lose magnet programs at Whittier, Bancroft, and Falwell. And then the families, in particular immigrant families, who lose the K-8 options, they will lose the K-8 options at Anderson, Marcy, Jefferson, Hmong International, Seward, Falwell, and Barton. That's significant. This should not be rushed through in light of these disproportionate effects upon students of color. It's just unconscionable.